Hi, for all the guests that are on, we're just going to give a few more members a few minutes to make it to the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
The falls.
Hi, are you coming to the planning board meeting tonight? We don't have a quorum. Oh. Okay, we'll see you. Amy forgot. She's at the theater, so she's gonna be here in just a few minutes. The theater, that's the other piece. The volunteers is here too.
Oh, okay.
On the Lord, over there.
Check the air.
CRT.
You know, it's just the air. Good. They're funny.
Um,
We got to two, we need to. Your general.
Yeah, we can talk about the strategic.
So let's call the meeting to order. It's, whatever time it is.
By 5:42, 5:42.
And per the agenda. Have the people here at least had a chance to look over the minutes? If so, can I have a motion?
No.
I can't even do the minutes.
No, we'll do the minutes once the other members get here.
All right. I don't have any remarks, so turn it over to you to make remarks.
All right, so we will, so we were talking a little bit earlier, I know that each month we've given a little quick update about the countywide strategic development plan. We have a rough draft of the plan. It still does not have, we're waiting on some of the maps and other attachments to be part of the plan. But I would really like to be able to send a draft of the strategic development plan to the planning board to review before it goes out to the general public. And I'd really like everybody's review of it. You know, and Chuck and I were just talking that it's about 65 pages on the front end. And then there's a series of appendices that will be attached. So we can kind of present the plan a few different ways. And so I'd be curious on your input. We've been talking in the office, we can do like an introduction video, like a YouTube video, and send everybody the link. It's kind of a breakdown of the plan and a little bit of a background information. We could set up a special meeting for me to give a presentation to the planning board, or I could kind of present it to you next month in October.
Okay, so we'll go out to the public for that.
So it'll be going out to the public on October. We're going to be bringing it to a legislative committee meeting on October.
Do we need
So-
to do recognition before that, or that's?
I would like to hear the planning board's feedback, as you know, sooner than that, if possible. I hate to kind of kick it down a whole other month, but we were kind of waiting on a final, like a draft that was complete enough to be able to send to everyone. So if everybody didn't mind, maybe if we did an introductory video and
That's probably, if you mind taking this time to do that, it would help me a little bit.
yeah.
At least give an intro, then we can read the thing, we're gonna send us the whole thing anyhow, right?
Yeah, we'll send you everything that we have. I'm waiting to hear back from the consultant. I reached out again today to see when we might be expecting those maps and the attachments.
Okay.
Because they do provide a lot of context. I mean, the first one, for example, is, you know, like planned centers for growth. Like what towns is the map showing would be the most ideal for, you know, increased density and growth. So I think that would really provide a lot of content. And I'd really like everyone's feedback from the planning board. And then, you know, ultimately, whether we can have those conversations before next meeting, whether it's October or November, it'd be really great to get the legislature, I think, would appreciate a resolution coming out of the planning board, you know, after we work out any kinks that anybody might identify, recommending, you know, adoption of the strategic development plan coming from the planning board.
One question, it's not for public comment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's not final until we get back to public comments and any modifications to it.
Correct.
So any resolution we would take wouldn't occur until after the modifications and the public comment period.
Well, I think that would be making more an adopt the actual schedule.
Resolution of
Right.
working forward to it.
Well, I assume you want I would guess the recommendation or the resolution by this board would be on the final document, wouldn't it be?
Or do you want one of support and then adoption? So do you want two resolutions from us?
I think one of support, and because there's such a tight timing window with this, that by the time we get the public comments back, those public comments are gonna be coming back, basically right before the full legislative committee and going to the full legislature for adoption. So in between committee and the full leg session, we'd be having our December meeting because this is going forward for full adoption in December. So there would be an opportunity to propose adoption of the final approval, but that, it would have already gone through committee already. Does that make, yes, committee. And I printed off the schedule, and I thought I had it on my, sorry. But there's going to be a seeker phase 1, and that they're going to do first because they're going to do a coordinated review process for the strategic development plan. So that's different than a lot of times through the legislature, we do seeker at the end of the process with it all at once. And if we do a coordinated review, that'll spark it going out to everyone as well. It kind of goes in parallel with the public comment period. Oh, thank you. I think I said, yeah, there it is. Thank you very much. It helps to copy everybody on this stuff. So we're looking to get a final draft from the consultant. It's supposed to be sent on September 23rd. And then October 3rd, we're posting the resolution for Seeker Part 1, which starts that coordinated review process, which basically sends it out to, it's another way to get it out to all the municipalities and say, this is happening, this is what we're proposing, let us know if there's any negative environmental impact, if you think there is. And then it'll get on the agenda for our legislative AP&E committee. And then the seeker resolution will go to AP&E committee on October 10th. Then we were doing a full press release and opening the public comment period on October 11th. So I don't think that we'll be able to gather our comments either way before the public comment period, but I just wanted to get it in front of you guys as soon as possible. We're going to be gathering all the comments and the feedback throughout the whole process. So it'll be open for public comment through October, and the public comment period is not ending until November 26th. So, yeah, right after, or right, it's like the day before Thanksgiving. But yeah, so then the consultant is hoping to be getting the comments and being able to incorporate them as it goes. So it's a pretty tight turnaround, but then they only have like a day or two to provide a final draft.
Do you anticipate changes to the plan based on public comments, or just asking or listening to comments? What do we really do? Are they going to take those into account?
Yes, I expect, and we've always communicated that, that the comments have to be incorporated.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm trying to urge and get it in front of people as soon as physically possible, because I want time for people, and I'm trying to encourage people to look at it as soon as possible. If you have, especially like major changes,
right.
We want to get those incorporated sooner rather than later.
If we need them. Right.
Yeah. So, and it's that delicate balance of getting it's been a very short window, and a lot of it is based off of the grant funding that we got for it too. We basically had a year.
So we have to complete the process within a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're aiming it all done.
Yes.
Nothing happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Well, not usually, but it will now.
Okay, I was not going to know that.
Yeah.
It's usually that dead time of year where people don't feel like working.
And the full legislative meeting that we're looking for a full adoption is on December 19th.
It was scrambling, taking all the public comments, then everything with final comments on the 26th of November, and get them all incorporated by the
The
19th.
final draft, well, they have to have it incorporated before December 5th, so the final draft can go before AP&E committee. Yeah. Yeah,
All right,
no doubt about it.
guess we should make our comments when we get it then.
Yeah.
In case we have
So-
any bad ones.
So, I can put that out there to you guys, would you prefer to put your eyes on exactly what we have so far? Would you prefer to wait until we at least get the maps and the
It'd
attachments?
be nice to have them, but if there's anything in the written stuff that sets off a red flag, we should probably get back to you as soon as we could, something that can't tell us without referring to maps, so that's something.
Right.
I don't know,
I can always follow up. I could send what we have and then follow up.
what did they say, what's still on the maps, just haven't finished them yet?
They were gonna get them to us last week.
Well,
Yeah, they said there was formatting that they needed to update to incorporate it into all the
all right, no,
right layout. So I think there's a lot of grants out there, a lot of projects, a lot of consultants are pretty swamped.
okay.
So,
So you're gonna send a copy of this to all of us?
and is that,
Sooner the better, 'cause we always have to go over, sit and read.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And is a PDF version okay for everybody, or do you, okay,
No, stay with PDF.
okay,
You bet.
great.
Hey,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We just want to play more though. I'm waiting for Amy still.
I started rehab this morning and it's like, the day has been like crazy.
Is
So,
alcohol free now or?
cardiac rehab.
I've
I've already done that.
That's work.
You're the first guy.
So, maybe such a deer, where was it?
Was Melanie still at the door? Melanie was.
Yes. But anyway, I did read everything last week.
Well, that's great.
So that's a start.
Well, good, you're ahead of the game.
Great.
I'd like to wait for Amy to do actual reviews because then we have a forum to do it. I'd like to make a couple comments if I could on the returns, but I was hoping Roy would be here.
Yeah,
The only one I questioned was 30 Sampson Street, someone put a deck out. That's in the middle of the floodway. The entire site is in the middle of the floodway. So I wasn't sure if he's taking that into account. But if they're blocking the floodway with the deck, that's not legal. So I just,
Woods are floodable.
what's that?
Woods floodable, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's just a couple steps. Not gonna do anything. But I don't know.
I'm so sorry.
Amy's here. Oh, sorry. Grab a seat.
Is that the, one that's on the kayak yoga?
Well, it's right where our.
Yeah.
But I think it's an elevated.
It could be.
Yes.
You can't build, you
I know.
you have to do a analysis, a floodplain analysis to show you're not gonna increase the problem of the flooding. The floodway you can build in, the floodplain you can build in, the floodway you can't.
But you still need a special floodplain permit, and he's the floodplain administrator.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll.
But that wasn't really the problem. The problem is that you cannot do it
Mhm.
without doing some sort of engineering study
For mitigation,
indicating for mitigation of causing the flood to rise behind.
okay.
And like we've blown off before in the city, and they really shouldn't. Because some of the things cause problem with flooding in the city, but yeah, it's okay,
Yeah.
especially around Outer Bridge, like, and down in that area, because everybody in that area.
Yeah,
So that's the only thing.
okay.
That's the thing I had.
I'll reach out to Roy,
Okay.
touch bases with him on that project.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get the meeting going here, folks. We're half hour back, and so everybody have a chance to read the minutes? If so, can I have a motion? All in favor of accepting the minutes? All right, we did our comments already, you guys missed them, so that's okay. They were big. You'll be getting a copy of the comprehensive plan to read, okay?
Strategic
That I can't have any part of anyway.
strategic development plan.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
So, do we have anyone to guess here that want specific projects or just?
Can we have them introduce themselves?
Yeah.
And what project they're here for? All right, Doran, do you mind introducing yourself and sharing what project you're here for?
Yes. So my name is Doron Myrie with Kinnick Architecture, and I'm here representing Valvoline. We have a tenant improvement project at 146 Clinton Ave. They're replacing some signage, and we're shifting the existing storefront door 3 inches to the right.
Gotcha.
Yep, all right. And, David, do you mind just, introducing yourself and sharing what project you're here to represent? And we don't need a description of the project.
He's got it, yeah.
Is that me? Again?
No, David, I think
Oh,
David Green.
No, David Green is with Valvoline, and Christy is also
Okay.
on there as well, and they're just here to support.
Okay.
Okay.
We were expecting a few other people. I thought they were coming for the other project. It's fine.
Okay, you want to do that one first?
Yeah, I know, right?
So-
Yeah, so we'll start with your project first, since all three of you are here for the Valvoline project.
That's the last one.
It's the third.
Third one. Okay. The sign thing, right?
Yeah.
98 seat.
The taller sign replacement was there, I don't recall. Go for it.
Big sign right there. This one is fast. Yeah. You under sheet.
All right. So this was, this was received by the city. This was an application for a site plan review and area variances. The applicant was seeking to replace an existing sign, with a slightly higher pole sign. This is on 146 Clinton Ave. This is zoned GB1, so this is a general business regional area. Most of the surrounding zoning is also GB1 and R4 for multifamily residential. For those that are familiar with this site, we'll scroll over to the map, but this is right across from Starbucks, right next to Dunkin' Donuts and the mobile gas station there as you're coming right onto Clinton. So basically the current pole sign is 51, a little over 51 square feet. The proposed pole sign will be 74, a little over 74 square feet. And the sign is obviously located directly off of Route 13 or Clinton Ave, right in front of the business. And the applicant is also looking to add 2 wall signs and 1 non-illuminated directional sign to the facade of the structure. Again, this is a GB1 and the current lot is 0.34 acres in size. This obviously is requiring a site plan review as the primary building or structures to be alterated so that the footprint or the facade is altered, which is why it's getting referred. Code section 333, table 323 outlines the lot area and yard requirements. This was included in the application for the variance, and that's why there was the variance for the pole sign placement, because the the lot width is just under the required in the district. Also, the sign type regulations indicates that no pole sign shall be located within 300 feet of another pole sign. And this is within 300 feet of both Starbucks and mobile pole signs. So that's also why the applicant is seeking an area variance for that sign placement. DOT was contacted as part of our coordinated review process, and they do not require a permit for the construction, and they expressed no concerns with the size or placement of the sign. So this is a type 2 action under seeker and does not require the completion of an EAF. So the staff recommended approval of the application for a site plan review and area variance under the following condition: that the applicant apply for that they obtain their area variances. And I think that that's just a scrivener area that they apply for. They are applying for that right now. And that the city balance the benefit of granting the requested area variances with the applicant against the detriment of the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And there's no seeker requirements. So.
Could I have a motion to move it? Second. Dan, second. Any comments or questions?
It is on the main commercial thoroughfare leading into the city. I really see no problem with it. They're just updating the look.
Changes sign.
I just wondered if the other two signs that are already there, are they separated by 300 feet?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. And if they,
He's got a photo of you.
yeah.
All right, nobody did that.
Yeah, I think there's like.
I didn't know it was a rule. Tell you the truth.
Yeah. So,
So, any other comments or questions? If not, all in favor of staff's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You're good.
great. I think we're all set. If you guys, you're welcome to sign off whenever you'd like, or you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
We can go back to the top if you want.
Yep, so we do that. Don't walk away there.
So next we had, we'll do the two Cortlandville projects. The first one was for T&E Law Properties. They were doing a site plan review, conditional permit, and an aquifer protection district special permit. They are looking to construct an additional 40,500 square foot mini storage complex. I think everyone's familiar with Buck Drive off of Route 11, CNY Power Sports. This total project encompasses two separate parcels. One is 2.1 acres and the other is 2.9. This is an I-2 district, which is the general industrial district, right across from Night Owls, next to Suco and Suburban Propane. So the complex would be located right to the right of the existing CNY Power Sports site with the other mini storage buildings. And it's also within the aquifer protection district that you can see right at the bottom right-hand corner of that site plan. The plans indicate that there'll be 4 self-storage buildings on the lot, and each building is about 30 feet wide, and they range from 310 to 350 feet long. They're located perpendicular to Route 11. And the applicant had indicated, it's not on the plans, but we asked how many storage units in total. They said about 268. They were just kind of reconfiguring the end ones. That would change the number a little bit. So it's quite a few storage units. The Town of Cortlandville Code, under their permitted structures and uses, subject to site plan approval and conditional permit, indicate that permitted uses subject to site plan approval and conditional permit shall be as follows. Basically, these are covered under the I-1 district, so, which is why the applicant had applied for the site plan review and conditional permit. This is also construction in the aquifer protection special district exceeding $150,000 in development costs. So they have applied for the aquifer protection special permit. We had held a coordinated review committee meeting for this project. And one of the main items that we addressed off of that was that the project is proposed on 2 separate parcels. So we asked the applicant, and they were not opposed to and agreed that it would be neater and cleaner to consolidate the 2 parcels that it's located on. And they had no problem with that, but we did indicate that we would be adding that as a recommendation.
Did they buy that frontage? Off of-
They would all,
They own it all.
except for where Buck is.
Oh, they had owned the frontage, what was behind it? Dan?
They
go back down,
They
down.
purchased that,
They
they
know
something around.
So Buck is just a small piece now. Or part of
As
it.
far as I know, that's still.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It must be
Okay.
okay.
Okay, I got it, I got it.
There's some
Yeah.
open lot.
Yeah.
So they own both of them to the right.
Right.
Right
Yeah.
They
there.
don't know.
And the other, one lot in between.
Right down the one.
Yeah, one in the back is still Buck.
That's,
And the one in front,
Yeah.
looks like they parked all their equipment, but now
Yeah,
they've already taken over that whole site.
yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't go through a site plan review. Because that's all they're doing right now. And I haven't seen the site plan review on that.
That's the city down there.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So also signage, we had discussed that there were no signage details that were provided in the submitted plan. They noted that the only signage on the premises would be located on the buildings facing the street. So kind of on those end faces. The Cortland Code, Table 2 permits 2 building mounted signs with a total sign area of 2 square feet per each linear foot of building facade facing the major street. So it's recommended that the applicant adhere to that code section pertaining to sign regulations, those signs. Lighting, the current site plan does not delineate the lighting included in the project. So it's also recommended that the applicant submit a lighting plan that clearly indicates proposed lighting and adheres to all the regulations within the appropriate code section. DOT, Regional Permit Engineer, Deputy, sent some comments for the project concerning the DOT regulations. The current site plan shows a project delineation that encroaches the state right of way. And we had brought these points up with the engineer, the design engineer at the coordinated review committee meeting, and he intended to incorporate those changes. So hopefully those will be included when it goes back to the town. But we included our recommendations in the report. So that we continue to recommend that the highway boundary and all other project limits be clearly demarcated on the site plan documents. Also, in the submitted stormwater, in the SWIP, the applicant had indicated that the stormwater will be managed on site via a stormwater basin detailed on the site plan. And finally, the proposal is considered an unlisted action under seeker. And the applicant had completed part 1 of the full environmental assessment form, and part 2 and 3 will be completed by the town to determine if there are any significant adverse environmental impacts to the proposed use. So the staff recommended approval of the application for site plan review, conditional permit, and aquifer protection district special permit only under the following conditions: that the applicant consolidate parcel 8700040600 and the adjacent parcel. That the applicant adhere to code section 178-113 for sign regulations. That the applicant submit a lighting plan that clearly indicates proposed lighting and adheres to all regulations within 178-144 of the code. That the highway boundary and all other project limits be clearly demarcated on all site plan documents and compliance with secret requirements.
Could I have a motion? Amy? Do you have a second?
No.
Done. Okay. Any other comments for folks? Any questions? I do like to make a recommendation on your recommendation number 4. I think I'll read that's one about the highway boundary.
Yeah.
The planning obviously is grading. They're in the right of way doing work on the shoulder of the road. They screwed up the plan somehow. I would just like
Emphasize
state,
that.
well,
Yeah.
because they should
Yeah.
have the final site plan when they redo it at the town.
Mhm.
That shows it's not encroaching on the right of way, because right now, they're grading in the right of way, they're grading on the shoulder, they move the drainage disc like almost 30 feet, I think, and stuff like that. They may have to move all the buildings back to make it work.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think the rest of it's fine, but
So-
I think just make it, recommend that it state that the town board review of the final plan is modified to keep all the work off the right of way.
Should we do that, the town ensure that applicant,
Has a final site plan that has the work off the right of way. For them, they misinterpreted what property line laws. The property line was in the middle of the road, and the right of way, I meant 66 feet in that area. So they were working out of the right of way.
Make a motion to-
We'd have to make a motion, we need a motion.
can I read this back to you?
Yeah, that's one more show, they'll close.
Planning board approval. Planning board. Okay, so what does everybody think about this? That, only under the following condition. We could leave or in or replace for
I would just add 2 for, it's asked that they receive a new site plan.
the town ensure the applicant provides a final site plan ensuring all work limits are within the parcel boundaries before final town planning board
I
approval.
would say outside of the property, that state right away.
Yeah,
Because the
not-
boundary of the property actually reads to the center of the road.
Right.
And then the right of way is like another 33 or 40 feet from the
Yeah.
center line.
That the highway boundary and all project limits be clearly demarcated on all site plan documents. And
Or beyond the
such,
right of way.
and such updated documents
And
are
updated,
provided to the town before.
updated documents that show no work in the right of way. Upsets.
Right. Right away.
I think that to move some things around and make that happen a little bit. I don't think I'll have to shorten them, we have to just cut down some of the paving, though. If he has to go shut the buildings back a few feet if he needs to. Still going.
And should I indicate, or is it a given before town planning board approval?
I would say before, yeah, put that in. Before. They should have that to review. They should have that in their hands when they're reviewing it, okay?
Before town planning board review?
Yes, final acceptance, or yeah, final review. I don't think it'll make much difference, but they should know what they're looking at.
Do they have any fire issues? I mean, regulations that if one starts on fire, the whole thing doesn't go, they aren't required to have a hydrant or
There's
anything?
hydrants out there, there's hydrants along the road.
There are?
Yes. Yeah, the sewer district, yes, they got hydrants along the road, there's water.
After service, they go over up there, there's some regular things, so we had to have a little bit of pretty much non-existent, but now it's about it.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on the modification?
Would you like me to read it one more time?
No, I'm good enough, you can word it. Unless you guys want to hear it, you want to hear it, so, read it one more time.
Okay. That the highway boundary and all other project limits be clearly demarcated on all site plan documents, and that such updated documents show no work within the right of way before, town planning board final review.
That's done, folks. All in favor of that amendment? Opposed? Then all in favor of the modified, town recommendation, that's the, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Now we have a 300-page solar.
I know, yeah. We apologize, we actually trimmed down the solar project, from the full, there was a very, very large packet. But we tried to provide you with the best imagery and attachment to help get like a really good sense of the project.
Is that actually what it's called, bring out the Gallagher Road there?
What's that?
Is that actually called to bring out the Gallagher Road?
Yes.
And poor people live there surrounded both sides now.
Yeah, we have both sides.
There's
Yeah.
one house,
Yes.
one house that's there,
They can
that
walk
is
into them.
across, and now behind them.
You can see it right here.
There's one right across the street from it.
Yeah.
That's the big one right there.
Does that really add to the value of the property, you think?
Is it that? Grasshopper?
So,
It's a leased property from a farmer.
I think that's,
That's standard property.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can look up.
Cause that building in North Carolina and South Carolina like this.
So,
I don't have to read all the detailed there analysis.
well, and we try to provide, especially for any like other newer members or anything, a little bit more of the detail of how the projects are set up. But it's basically, they're requesting the Aquifer Protection District special permit, the site plan review, the conditional permit. It's a 2.5 megawatt. So this would be a large scale, and it's a community solar energy system. They have obviously the associated accessory access driveways, security fencing, that encompasses a little over 58 acres of the parcel total. It's right on the southeast corner of South Cortland, Virgil Road and Gallagher, and it is zoned agricultural. So this proposed system is considered a tier 3B for the Cortlandville. Yeah. Okay. Code and Yep, their code. So the ground mounted large scale solar energy systems are permitted in the agricultural district, subject to a conditional permit. This is also in an area 2, which is a principal aquifer area with costs exceeding $150,000. So they would also need to apply for the Aquifer Protection District special permit. And this proposed system consists of 5,544 solar modules with 17 inverters that are connected to 2 separate transformers for the full project. On-site utilities installed for the project will be located underground, with the exception of a section of the Gentile line that's overhead, and that's per National Grid's interconnection design requirements. And that's kind of what we've been seeing a trend of with a lot of these large scale solars. Most is underground, but you'll see just like a series of 3 to 5 poles right at the front of the project for the interconnection. So the full array is enclosed by a little over 5,000 feet, and this is 8-foot high fencing. I know I was looking at some of our older projects that we've seen in the past are like 6 feet, 7 feet. I'm wondering if they're having issues with deer maybe, but so it's 8-foot high fencing, chain link fencing, and secure gates. Signage at the gate would have emergency contact information, 24-hour contact info, and we would suggest a locking latch that the fire department could put a Knox box on. They are rotating panels that are being provided, so they've got an access tracking system. They'd have a maximum height of 7 feet above the ground and a setback of a minimum of 100 feet from all adjoining properties, as required by Cortlandville code. The project also includes the inverters with the medium voltage transformers. It would be accessed by 3 separate, you can see there's 3 separate driveways. They both, all of them are proposed to be 20-foot wide, improved driveways. One access road would be off of Gallagher, directly across from the entrance of the other solar project. And then 2 of the other entrances would be off of the South Cortland Virgil Road. One ties in, it's kind of like an existing driveway up higher there, and then a smaller access to the opposite side of that more southerly array. We'd recommend that the applicant obtain right-of-way work permits from the town and the county for those access driveways, if there are not driveway culverts in place already. The main driveway, so these are pretty long driveway, a little over 2,000 feet long, that would provide access to transformer A and B. And shorter access drive would be only about 250 feet in length and access the far side. The majority of these driveways are located outside of the fenced area for the project and would only enter into the fenced area via secured manual access gate. That's different than some of the other projects that we've seen where most of the drives are inside the fenced-in area. The applicant has not indicated any lighting information on the site plan, and in our coordinated review committee meeting, they indicated that they would not have much, if any, lighting after construction, but we still wanted to ensure that if they did have any lighting, that it was conforming with the Cortlandville code, so that it would not impede on any neighboring properties. The area solar array siting is predominantly being used as farm field right now. The applicant has indicated that tree clearing will be necessary for almost 1.5 acres of the project for the southern portion of the array. There's an area shown right there where they have the green hatching. Code section, the Cortlandville Code section 178.123.3 states that any application that includes a required tree cutting or substantial forest conversion must include a description or an assessment of the benefits of the trees or forest to be cut and the environmental impacts of that tree cutting or forest conversion. Such assessment shall also include an analysis of alternatives and mitigation measures to minimize impacts. We didn't see that included in their report, so we just wanted to highlight that and recommend that the town determine whether it's not specific, but some people would consider almost 1.5 acres of tree clearing to be considered substantial forest conversion, and if the applicant should be required to provide an assessment and mitigation plan for that code section. The northern portion of the array is located in an area that's classified as farmland of statewide importance, while the southern section of the array is located entirely in an area classified as prime farmland. So again, quoting the regulation states that ground-mounted large-scale solar energy systems shall not be located in the following areas unless otherwise approved by the town planning board in conjunction with the conditional permit approval process. Therefore, this is why the applicant is applying for the conditional permit. So prime farmland is listed under those. So the applicant would also be required to file a notice of intent with DEC, prepare and submit stormwater prevention pollution plan to DEC for site, and obtain a construction stormwater permit for coverage greater than 1 acre soil disturbance. The SWIP must meet the current stormwater management design manual and the runoff reduction and green infrastructure requirements. And the applicant would be required to obtain approval of the final design for the SWIP from the Cortland County Soil and Water Conservation prior to any positive consideration of the proposal. It's also recommended that the applicant contact DEC Division of Permits to request a jurisdiction determination and apply for and obtain any permits required as a result of that determination. A portion of the area to be developed contains slopes exceeding 15%. There's 2 stormwater retention ponds proposed, one at each array. So it's recommended that the applicant place special attention to the areas of proposed development within the above ideal grades and ensure that any runoff is controlled to equal or less than the existing site, and that all runoff managed by the and that any runoff is managed by the 2 proposed retention ponds. The applicant has submitted also a decommissioning plan that includes a schedule of removal and restoration costs after the 35-year service life. The total cost for removal of all materials and reestablishment of the site is estimated at a little over $385,000 after salvage values. And that includes a 2.5% increase, average inflation increase assumed. This value does not appear to include a tipping fee for any waste removal, any hazardous waste removal, including hazardous waste removal. So it's recommended that the town consider evaluating the estimated amount for decommissioning and ensure that all costs associated with removal and proper disposal of associated materials be included in the decommissioning bond to ensure that no costs at the end of the project life cycle become the responsibility of the landowner or the town. Finally, the applicant has completed part 1 of seeker, and 2 and 3 should be complete by the town to determine if any significant adverse environmental impacts may result as from the proposed development. So the staff recommended approval of the application only on the following only if the following contingencies are satisfied. That the town require the applicant to include 24-hour emergency contact information and that it be clearly displayed, and a locking latch that the Cortlandville Fire Department can put a Knox box on. That the applicant obtain right-of-way work permits from the town and the county. That the applicant provide a lighting plan in conformance. That the town determine whether 1.47 acres of tree clearing is considered substantial forest conversion, and if the applicant should be required to provide an assessment and mitigation plan as per the code section. That the applicant obtain town planning board approval for the use of USDA designated prime farmland and farmland of statewide importance for a ground-mounted large-scale solar energy system. That the applicant prepare and obtain approval of a stormwater, of a SWIP, including water quality and quality management for both this site during and after construction from the town upon review from the Cortland Soil and Water Conservation District, since the project would disturb more than 1 acre land. That the applicant contact DEC permits to request a jurisdiction determination. That the applicant place special attention on the areas of the proposed development above the ideal grades and ensure that any runoff is controlled to equal or less than the existing site, and that all runoff is managed by the 2 proposed retention ponds. And that the town consider evaluating the estimated amount for decommissioning and ensure that all costs associated with the removal and proper disposal of associated materials be included in the decommissioning bonds to ensure that no costs at the end of the project life cycle become the responsibility of the landowner or the town. And finally, compliance with seeker.
Motion to accept recommendation.
Yeah. Do we have a second? Right. Any comments from folks?
When they talk about fence height, do they have a regulation on height?
I don't think they have, I think it's I want to say it was like a minimum of 7 feet.
So they're proposing 8 feet, so do they need a variance for that? They're proposing an 8 foot height.
Well, they're asking if there's a minimum of 7.
Oh, minimum, so.
That's what it says.
Oh,
I'm fine.
That's okay, it's a minimum 7. Are they gonna have a public hearing on this, do you know? Are they required to do this?
I don't know. What they're doing.
Yeah.
They do.
A public hearing?
Do they
Yeah.
require them?
Oh, do they require a public hearing?
I don't know. Is it appropriate?
There's no variance. I think, no, the aquifer protection requires public hearings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the aquifer protection requires public
Okay.
hearings.
And I know we met with the applicant and they had planned on doing a public hearing.
I have a little concern with the length of road in between the two is quite a length of road that has trees totally surrounding it. To me, that could be a perfect hideaway for kids to hang out in and it would be very simple to move the fence to encompass the road. There's a map that shows the fence lines between the two parcels, and it would be, come straight down on the far left upper quadrant and goes off that road right there, and bring the fence down and back up again. They couldn't get into that road, and the same way, well, that would just shut off that road or something like that. It's all in the trees. I can see, kids hanging out there. It could be a party cave, you don't know, or something.
Okay, so that road really isn't behind the fence, it's between,
No.
I got you.
Yeah, the fence is just enclosing around the modules themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matters or not, but there's like a farm drive, existing farm drive there now. So I don't know if that was intentional to maintain like an access for the current farmer,
Right.
or landowner to still be able to use those drives. Because if it was fenced in, then the current property owner wouldn't be able to use their own, so I don't know if that was done intentionally, but that would be my guess.
Well, it's a little concerning. And I also wondered if there was going to be access for the fire department at each entry, at each gate, or is that just one gate where they, have to be all the way through to the lower bottom there? Come in the main gate and go all that way to get to the possible fire at the lower station there.
The way your recommendations read, didn't you say about a lockbox on the gates for the fire department?
And it would be at all
The main
entrances.
gates at all.
Well, there's two,
Well,
there's two, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a main entrance for each array. They're kind of treated as like two separate arrays.
Right.
So I think there'd be, one there.
Oh, and one there.
One up
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, okay. And I just wanted to also know the difference between prime agricultural land and farmland of state importance. What is the?
I think the prime land is considered more, important, how's that sound?
Is that?
Yeah, from what I'm talking to, Barry was on the farm bureau. I was asking that question one day. Prime stuff, we really don't want to build on.
But how much are they building on the prime, how much of it is prime farmland?
Well,
So that southern one, almost all of that is.
All of that is,
No. And I think it actually might be on the map.
Is there a little house down in the ocean?
hard to tell. I know what comes considered prime.
Oh, but pretty much the whole southern array
Right.
was in prime farmland. The northern array was in farmland of statewide importance. So they are like tiers of specific levels of protection.
Oh, yeah, we did get that, man. Well, I just said,
Is
yeah.
it delineated? I don't know about yours.
I didn't think it was delineated.
No, it's the ag district.
No,
Are they in the ag district?
yeah.
I don't mean zoning ag district, I mean the county ag district. Well, county ag districts usually aren't supposed to have commercial developments on them because they get a tax break from their farmers.
That's true.
They have to apply for that.
We always used to
Well,
put.
Yeah.
but I think that each of these properties no longer get that tax break when they,
They remove themselves from it.
yeah, there's a process where the assessors are to remove that
Right.
once it's moved over. And I actually just heard Laura Fox, the real property director, talking about that the other day. They had another property that had a solar project placed on it, and they were in the process of taking it out, I think one comment that was brought up in our coordinated review, where we reach out to different entities, was with soil and water. you know, and Amanda's expressed concern, you know, over the years of all these conflicting priorities for the state, when it comes to open space, whether it's the, you know, migration corridors, or the, you know, renewable energies versus
Farmland
housing,
protection.
farmland protection. So I actually looked and I was reading through Cortland Hills Farmland Protection Plan, and it actually outlines renewable energy siting as a recommended item on farmland to help conserve the farmland. So that was what was founded in their plan. I was actually I had drafted up an area to add a comment. But
Well, I was gonna ask that same question about the prime farmland. What does it state, or what do you guys talk about in our our new comprehensive plan? What does that going to say about prime farmland? And what does Cortland say about protection of prime farmland? My understanding, they want to promote solar farms on the scrub farmland. The stuff where the farmers can't grow much, you know, they got a lot of that laying out there because it helps the farmers have income. When you take away the prime farmland, it's a whole different story.
Right.
So I don't know what your comprehensive plans have said about that or it's even discussed.
I think it again promotes the same, not as preserving prime farmland as just farming, not renewable energy siting, not other development.
Is that what it says?
In our
Yeah.
strategic government.
Right.
Theirs does not, it's not specific, it just says agricultural land,
It doesn't differentiate between.
not from what I found.
Once as Tricia prefaced her remarks, it's pretty conflicting.
I
Depending on what your focus is, it's real conflicting.
Yeah. So I don't know what the plan.
And I think that that's the only reason we could add a recommendation that they really evaluate the fact that this is cited on prime farmland.
Yeah, I think that would, I don't know. To me, that's environmental impact.
We used to put it on all the recommendations that they will be losing the ability of tax reduction for building.
Oh, like add it in here that they are to be removed,
Yeah,
that the parcel is to be removed from the county ag district to ensure.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Solar, it's a whole different tax base anyway.
what was the wording for the,
Sometimes they get highlighted.
the ag district, it's a special district.
Well, there's a tax break for properties in a county ag district. They get a reduction of their taxes.
Right.
for it. And
It's-
if, for the number of years that they're in there, problem is never recovery when they're taken out of it, of those taxes that were not paid. Because it's supposed to be the reason for the use of an ag district is to preserve farmland for farmers and not to make it into commercial development. When you turn it into commercial development, you should recover that tax you didn't have to pay all those years from somebody, but it's never done.
But you don't automatically receive the tax rate by being in the district.
I know.
Right, but
That's
just
fine.
for information,
Being working,
That's
you
fine.
have to, like,
right,
qualify.
yeah, yep.
But that one, I'm worried more about the prime farm, but you wrote it up in there and you told the town to look at that, but it doesn't require variances. Prohibited unless the town board says it's okay, so that's the way it's worded and everything.
Yeah, and that's why they have to apply for the conditional permit to begin with, is because it's on prime farmland.
Oh, okay. Otherwise it would need a conditional permit.
Well, it still would need a conditional permit
I
as
would
part
think
of
so,
the
yeah.
permit. That's one of the things that designates them requiring. Yeah. Yeah, it says that they are permitted, I mean, they would still need the site plan review, but their regulation states that those energy systems shall not be located in the following areas unless otherwise approved by the town planning board in conjunction,
Town planning or town board?
town planning board,
Okay.
in conjunction with the conditional permit approval process. And prime farmland is one of those items listed. And that's why there's the conditional permit on top of the site plan review.
Okay. But at least that's something they have to look at and decide whether that's, I mean, I just wonder if it's in, since it's not in our comprehensive plan, we have a preservation of prime farmland,
Mm.
and you know, it's important to those either.
Well, but it is written in here that we
Right, but I
should
know
not.
that new comprehensive plan they adopted
Oh.
2 years ago, they talked about implementation, they haven't done it yet.
Hmm.
But I wasn't sure, but then there was either to try to preserve that land. I think they should make, I don't know. To me, it's, take prime farm, you've got other farming land, they can be building these things on. So, but anyhow,
For the 13, over the middle of that field.
yeah, exactly, take the biggest prime farmland in the county and put it in the ballpark. That's okay. So, the other thing I did have, I mean, they're kind of, this whole application, you look at the stuff they put in there, they just kind of treat it with a, they're just kind of blowing us off, okay? They're not really doing stormwater management, not doing, they throw in some typical crap in there because they say they'll do it later, they'll do it later. They're assuming they get approved and work. Well, you got this stuff in there, but what they have in there for stormwater management is awful small for things directly upstream of Walden Place and Walmart where they flooded out like 10 years ago, between white both places out.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is directly upstream of that. Oh, and so there's kind of, the whole stormwater meant on the drawings, they didn't really spend any time on it. They just kind of just drew a little circle on the drawing and said, here's some standard drawings in there. And said, yeah, we'll do something eventually. So they're not paying attention now, they're hoping to. You did put in about the SWIFT. These guys will be rather swift with their whole application process. They throw a lot of trash paperwork at you to show their things, but they don't do much environmental work. They're when they put what they want to do and assume they'll get it. I don't really know. They're really treated like, yeah, we're the scrub people of Cortland, and they can do whatever they want. That's what it sounds like to me. But whatever.
I thought the same thing when I first received the package. I thought it was like really, I thought it was gonna be really full and robust, but I found that a lot of it was
Like just
generic.
standard garbage.
Yeah, very, very standardized.
Yeah.
But they said they had not finished the SWIFT and they said that that would be forthcoming,
Yeah,
so.
okay, let's hope. They should do that. I don't know.
Oh, I had one other question on where is any battery storage on site?
No,
I
no,
don't,
they're connecting directly to the grid.
I guess I don't, you commented, you put it in there about the SWIFT and about the prime farm. I guess that's a two big issue we have here. I guess the longer you think the town board and the planning board will take that into consideration, I guess, for covering. Unless somebody else has any other things they want to see them change in their recommendation, if you're okay with them, anybody else?
That was a change, we did have that in.
I think they were in there already.
Yeah, she has stuff in there. I don't know, it's good enough to cover the bases, but I hope so.
It might be nice if we could get some form of protection from the houses on that corner.
What's that?
It'd be nice to get some form of protection from the houses on that corner, there's what, 3-4 houses there.
Yeah. All right. You think we're good enough, folks? Want to take a vote on this or not? Are we okay with the way it is? All in favor? Staff's recommendations. Signify by saying aye. All opposed? I just think they're.
But I'll call the planning board chair for Cortlandville too and just try to base this and see how they feel about
Chris
it.
is going under the knife for his knees.
Yeah.
Sure, how he's gonna be up to this stuff.
All right, last, but certainly not least, Town of Preble has a local law. I know most of you remember last month, we saw the regulations for short-term rentals, so they, were opting to continue to take a look at that regulation and extend their moratorium. So they enacted and filed the local law 1 on January 29th. And that was set at 270-day duration. So they're seeking to adopt this local law to amend that local law, so therefore, yeah. So at any rate, there was a little bit of, verbiage in their local law where the title was a local law amending local law number 1 of 2024, extending the moratorium to temporarily suspend the use of dwellings as transient or short-term rentals. But in that, it also says in section 1 that the purpose and intent indicates the specific moratorium applies to the temporary suspension of the new use of dwellings as transient or short-term rentals. So that's kind of a big difference when you're talking about the use in general or the new use. So and I think that just because there's so much conversation in the previous regulations, they had proposed like grandfathering in existing rentals. So we just felt like it was kind of important for them to clarify or make sure that they update the title to reflect that wording from section 1, that is the new use. The section 1, the purpose describes the desire of the town. Section 2 indicated the extension of the moratorium, and it indicated that it would extend for 90 days from the date the law is filed from the Department of State. And section 3 has an effective date indicating that the law shall take effect. And the local law 1 is set to expire on October 26th. That's after that 270 days. But it's unclear if the 90-day period is supposed to start at the end of the first moratorium's expiration, or when it's filed on the state, if it gets filed before October 26th. And I think that given the situation, that this is, a very, actively debated topic, they clarify so that there's clarification of exactly when this moratorium extension is to expire. Finally, this is a type 1 action under seeker, as it would change the allowable uses in a zoning district affecting more than 25 acres.
Can I get a comment on that? I don't believe that's the case. I believe moratoria are zoned from seeker. I believe by state, Department of State, moratoria do not require seeker review because you're not changing something, you're stopping things, but I don't believe that.
Okay.
I ran into this, we did it in the city of Cortland years ago about doing one. I looked it up at the state, look up the regulations, but I believe you can just say still compliance.
Yeah,
I don't think there are any.
Okay.
So you can look at it and see.
Well, that's a really good point. Yeah, well, I'll take a look at that. So the staff recommended adoption of the proposed local law extending the moratorium to temporarily suspend the use of, or the new use of dwellings as transient or short-term rentals only under the following. That the town of Preble update the title to reflect the wording used in section 1, that the town of Preble clarify when exactly the extended moratorium is set to end and compliance with seeker, whatever that means. And we'll verify that because that'd be good to really clarify.
Oh, could I have a motion? Yeah, second. I'll second. All in favor of staff's recommendations? Or comments, sorry. Okay. What's up?
Approving staff's recommendations, does that have more bite back to the town because of the parameters we're listing there than not acting?
Well, all we're really doing is giving themselves time to look at that ordinance they're on and see if they can change.
I feel like they're playing word games.
Yeah.
They're playing word games trying to get something through, and like, who the hell knows what it's really
Well, I
about?
think right now they just want more time because all they we got back at them.
I think the
That we
town
didn't like what
board
they wrote.
and their lawyer have to like say what it is they're trying to achieve.
I was kind of questioning what happened last month since I wasn't here, and there was a note stating about the county's concern about effects on tourism. How's that?
We changed, we rejected their law. Then kind of what we did, I can't remember.
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
No,
We modified it.
We modified it.
We modified it.
The Department of State strongly encourages that we do not full-blown reject
Yeah.
the projects. But that we provide strong recommendations as to be pretty specific on what they would need to change.
So I'm saying, if we don't act, is that
I mean,
firmer than if we act on staff's recommendations about these dates?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Trish is asking them to call out specific dates, like, okay, when's the start date, when's the end date?
Well, that's, I think moratoriums are supposed to state that, and what happens if you make them for too long, they're considered unreasonable. And so that's why, but typically they run for like a year. And they
Yes, I mean, what's a firmer response back from us to the town? Because like, they obviously don't have their act together.
Well, I think that there's a lot of conflict right now, and they're having conversations, and I think that several, different parties, their legal
And somebody's
advice.
trying to do an end run.
Well, I think that there's a lot of concern about, and the planning board had so much concern about their previous, regulations that they were proposing, that they were taking that back, but they needed time to really reevaluate our recommendations and what they wanted to do. And so this is really just buying them that time.
Okay.
Since their current moratorium ends in October.
Right.
Just basically give them more time to rewrite that ordinance, that plan that they sent, or the law they sent us, and see if they want to modify it or not.
Maybe it won't be gibberish.
Based on
Maybe it won't be
being more
gibberish.
open for
Yeah, I mean, I don't
tourism
know.
in
I mean,
the
they may come back
county.
exactly the same, they may come back.
How it affected tourism in the county with.
We hope so.
Mhm.
We hope so, but we don't know how they're rewriting it at this point.
But they need time to do it. But that's what gives them more time to look at that.
Okay.
Any other questions about that one, folks? And do we still have a quorum anyhow, because Amy got abstained probably on it? So
I'll
we
have
have a
to send a
quorum.
resolution that we don't have I'll send a letter that we.
But even if we had everybody in favor, you gotta abstain either way, or oppose, it still doesn't go through because we don't have a quorum, she abstains. Abstain acts as a no, or whatever. We don't know, yes, votes to pass it. Either way. So I think we don't have to take a vote on it, folks, because you're abstaining, right?
I have to.
Right, I understand. So there's probably no point in us taking it, but we're just going with them.
Yeah, I have to send them a letter.
What's that? I think, I think she should, she's on board, work on this stuff, so that's reasonable to abstain. Right, no, but I think it's reasonable to abstain, you're on the committees that work on these things.
Yeah.
You really can't beat that person. I think
Looking at our recommendations.
I know.
Really anything significant there other than changing of a word.
Yeah, but still, I think it's reasonable for her to do that.
I just asked if it was necessary, you absolutely
It's
could.
never necessary. It's not necessary in life. I don't know what the rules are at this point.
You know what, this is contentious.
Right.
I think that
Probably not, better not to.
And that's like, we have a generic template letter for, response to the municipality when we don't.
So what happens when we don't, with their actions now?
Then we can,
That's
they
it.
don't have to have a quorum to override it.
Oh, so they
They
can go
just-
ahead and.
They can review our staff recommendations, but they don't have a vote from.
They don't need it.
So they still do get the recommendations and they
Yep,
still.
that's okay. Yep, just the resolution reads differently.
Any other business? Got a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Yeah. And who made that motion?
I was like,
Throw it
sure.
people in that one. Come on out, doesn't matter.
Maybe so.